Hello, everyone. This is Jean Voice Dart with Courageous Creative Conquerors, a Facebook premiere event. And today I have Sally Betters with me, my special guest, author and coach, From Crisis to Compassion. I'm so happy to have you here, Sally. It's going to be so much fun interviewing you. So I'd love for you to just share a little bit about how are you courageous?
First of all, I love the name of your group. And I believe that I'm courageous because I'm following my passion. And so many of us have passions and we put them on the back burner and we don't ever get to achieve them.
How do you use the creative arts, creative or expressive arts, to help you conquer and overcome challenges that you've had in your life? I'd like to hear maybe growing up or in your later young adult life, if you had any struggles and you found that creativity really helped you.
Yes, actually, that's such a great question. I did have many struggles growing up. I had a profound learning challenge that was never diagnosed. I faced childhood trauma from an alcoholic family member. And there were these traumatic things that happened that I was not able to process in a healthy way. And they really weren't discussed at the time I was growing up. So it wasn't until later when I started seeing the symptoms of learning disabilities that I could identify. And so it took me a while. I believe I didn't blossom until later in life.
Well, that's really fascinating that it was never diagnosed until you were an adult.
Yes, and it's kind of ironic. I started taking postgraduate level classes to help my son who was struggling academically. And through that awareness and seeing the symptoms, I identified totally and realized I have the same thing, which is highly hereditary. And so I realized that that wasn't uncommon. And it helped me to understand my own struggles.
Which of the creative arts did you feel really helped you? Was it one in particular or all of them? Music, art, drawing, theater, dance, reading?
It was that's so great. I didn't even realize that it had helped me, but it was, excuse me, crafts, working with my hands. I had a third grade teacher who was very innovative, and she had us make these looms to make pillow covers. And my father made me the frame and went out and bought a bunch of different yarn, and I made them as gifts. And it would really help me to feel like I could do something well.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Yeah, so you are an author?
Yes.
Yes. And when did you start writing?
A few years ago. It had been on my heart for a while, but I didn't have the confidence. And I had so many different types of experiences from corporate America, working as a trainer, and then working at a shelter for battered women, and also working as a pregnancy center doing post-abortion counseling, and then being a certified professional tutor for children who struggle with learning challenges. I could see there were patterns. And so I felt like I wanted to tie those together and bring them into a story framework to help people understand the magnitude of some of these traumatic childhood unfortunate experiences that don't ever leave us.
So your first book is Crisis to Compassion. Is that your first book that you wrote?
Yes.
Did you write a book before? Let's take a look at that. I'm going to share screen here.
Yeah. Yes, it's From Crisis to Compassion.
Here it is.
Yes.
From Crisis to Compassion. What a compelling title. I love it. From Crisis to Compassion. And you shared a little bit about what inspired you to write this book. It says how to find empathy, intimate connection, and involvement with supportive community. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, I really see in my own journey as well as others, if we don't find people who are empathetic or compassionate or have those qualities for ourselves, it's very difficult to heal. And what I've seen over the years is people don't heal in isolation. They heal within the context of a supportive community. And what my a motto that I've used is what is broken in community needs to be healed in community.
And how did you heal in community?
There were certain groups that I joined to be and part of my path, healing path. There were grief classes I took. There was childhood trauma classes where I had my own tribe, if you will, that helped me to process things. We had specific exercises for grief and cathartic exercises that helped us to release past memories and to make collages and do artistic things that would help bring forth emotions that were dormant.
Do you still do that today? Your creative craft, art, that kind of thing? Seems you're drawn to that.
Yes, I designed jewelry for several
Oh,
years,
wow.
um, and I also designed dog jackets, and both of those were used to establish scholarship funds for families who could not afford tutoring for their children who are struggling.
Oh my goodness. You have so many different talents and certifications and skills and experience. And another area that is really important to you, of course, you've mentioned children. You care deeply about children. You have written several children's books that are coming out right now.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how you moved from writing this very serious adult book to children's books?
Yes, in January, at the end of January, I launched my first children's book, which is a picture book, and it deals with the beauty of the world that we live in and how I see many children don't know how to handle this gorgeous place that we are privileged to live in, and then what happens when they face problems. This colorful world changes into black and white, and oftentimes they don't have safe people to talk to. And so the book takes them through this journey to get them back to a place where they can enjoy the world around them and they can feel at peace. What prompted me to write this were other authors, children's authors, who knew I had written a book on childhood trauma. And they asked me if I had ever considered writing a children's book. So I hadn't, and I gave it some thought and prayer. And then, the idea started coming after that.
I have, I think this is your first children's book.
It
This is the
is.
first one.
Yes, that's it. Looking beyond the sky.
Looking Beyond the Sky. And it's so beautifully illustrated. I love it. And it, this is a poem story, correct?
Yes, it is. I love poems, and I feel like they give me a handle to because I love words as well, and it paints a prettier picture, I think, in with poetry. And my friend Linda Lloyd, who is the illustrator, is so gifted and uses her gifting well. And this book is such evidence of that, that she made my story, my poem story, come to life.
I'm going to read this beginning here. Have you ever sat looking up at the big, beautiful blue sky and wondered if God lives way up high? It's just so pretty. So,
Thank you.
do your eyes sparkle with joy at the sun-winged birds who gracefully glide without any words?
Yes.
Picture.
Yes.
That just gives you a taste of it. You're going to have to buy it to find the rest of it. But yes, it's just really beautifully written. I enjoyed it very much. So did you write poetry before, I mean, as a child or growing up? Did you always write poetry, or is that something just kind of came to you recently in recent years?
I've only written poetry a few times in my life previous to writing this book, and they were for my parents. and my sisters as for Christmas gifts. It was a year that I had just graduated from college and I didn't have a lot of money. And I wanted to give them a gift. And that was what came to mind. And turned out that that was one of the best gifts they said they ever received.
Oh my goodness. And I think, is this the book that you told me you wrote it all very quickly, like on a plane or in a car or on a train or something like that, right?
Yes, I was coming back from Lake Tahoe and just gazing out the window. And I remember just in my thoughts saying, I wanted to write a picture book and I haven't done it. And I felt prompted to just, well, then do it. And I pulled out my iPad and I started thinking about what a beautiful world we live in. And it flowed from there.
And what would you say to someone who has that stirring in themselves and they feel like that's what really resonates with them is writing poetry? What would you say to them to encourage them to go for it?
I would say just get started. Don't over critique yourself. Just start. Think of things that give you joy and bring passion into your heart and just write about it. And it may be a person in your life. It may be an experience you've had. It may be your faith-based relationship with the Lord. Whatever it is, write about what brings you great joy.
That's good advice. I know some people are not sure what they should be writing about, but you're saying start with what brings you joy.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. So I want to share, we're kind of running out of time. I want to just quickly look at your other books that are coming out, children's books, and if you could tell us about the series and
Sure.
where they can find all these books and also how they can contact you and find out more about you and your services. But we'll look here.
They're called Sarah's Amazing Animal Adventures. It's a series of children's stories about character displayed through love and kindness.
So this is the first one in the series, and it's Sarah's Dream Comes True.
Right.
Okay. And
yes.
Then we have the second one is Sarah helps Roman find his forever home. Who's Roman?
Roman's one of her pets. Yes. And there's a magical element to these books that I think will be intriguing for children and adults alike.
Okay. And then the last one in this, is this the last one in the series or will there be more?
Oh, there's more coming.
There's coming. Okay.
Yes.
But you are introducing the first three together.
Right.
Okay. And this is Sarah Teaches Daisy Her True Beauty. And it looks like Daisy is wearing one of those dog jackets that you made, Sally.
And you know how funny it is that art imitates life. I got the idea from having made jackets myself. And so something that the main character does out of love for her animals. She makes them jackets.
And Sarah sounds very similar to Sally. What characteristics does Sarah have that Sally has?
I see that she's very responsible and she exhibits her love by taking care of others and by doing things, acts of kindness, encouraging words, spending time with them and giving them gifts and being physical and loving them and hugging them. But originally the name of my books was named after a young girl in our church who was very responsible, musical. She was on the worship team and she passed away from a brain tumor.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and so I dedicated the first of the Sarah book series to her, and her name was Sarah Donegan. And so she had these characteristics and these qualities, and I wanted to highlight that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so our time is running out, but if you could share your website and what services you offer and how people can get in touch with you if they'd like to.
Certainly. It is sallybetters.com/coach. And I am a speaker, I am a certified life coach, and I work with overwhelmed moms and teens, especially during this time with COVID and the struggles that so many moms have had and parents in identifying either learning challenges with their children or just seeing that they're having difficulty staying focused and organized.
Thank you, Sally. I'm just so happy that we got to do this. I got to know you a little bit better. It's been a lot of fun. One question as we sign off. Just
Yes.
tell me, what is your definition of a happy, successful life?
Mm. I think it's being focused on what's meaningful to you. And for me, what's meaningful is doing whatever I can to stop childhood sex trafficking. And that's where the proceeds of all my books, my speaking and life coaching go.
Wow, Sally, that's so important. And I'm so glad that you brought it up before we closed our interview today. Thank you so much. And I'd like to share on your website here and scroll down to the bottom. There's a lot of wonderful things here. Scrolling down, there is at the bottom this message about human trafficking, and it says, help save someone from human trafficking. A percentage of all proceeds from my books, coaching, and speaking go directly to support the fight against human trafficking. And she says here, I'm truly grateful to link arms with you and work toward healing and protecting the children of this beautiful world. So thank you so much, Sally. You are an inspiration to us and a very talented, very compassionate soul. And it's my honor and pleasure to know you.
Thank you so much, Jean. I enjoyed this time.